Some stories start out practical, but over time they can grow strange. As caretaker of the Garden of Memories Cemetery, I walk every day in history, art, and nature, and yes, beauty. There was a time when cemeteries were crowded, grimy places, tucked behind churches or pressed between city streets. But something changed right around the turn of the 19th century when people began to believe that saying goodbye, for a time, didn't have to be morbid but could be peaceful, even beautiful. Rural cemeteries appeared with rolling hills, tree-lined paths, and marble angels watching over our dearly departed. Cemeteries were no longer just places to bury a loved one, but to stick around for a bit and enjoy the show. Maybe take a stroll and remember favorite memories. That's when benches and cast-iron mourning seats were added. But by the mid-20th century, those mourning seats fell out of fashion, and cemeteries shifted to more ceremonial goodbyes inside funeral homes and churches. Over time, the meaning of those chairs faded, replaced by a tale meant to scare, suggesting those seats were haunted by the grieving, and if you dared to sit there at midnight or on Halloween, you might hear whispers, feel a cold weight against your shoulders, or worse, never rise again. Respect the dead, they say, or risk joining them too soon. Of course, that superstition is just that, a superstition, a way to create fear where there should be none. I promise you, nothing spooky ever happens here. No, what does happen is real life. Caleb Rowe, one of our many suspects in the death of Chester Lloyd, actually did some cement work here at the garden. Like every other suspect, he's passed on, but he's not buried here. His final resting place is the Cerulean Hills Cemetery. Quite frankly, the worst cemetery to ever cemetery. I'm not even exaggerating. I wouldn't bury a dust mite there, much less a loved one. But I digress. Out of curiosity, I examined Chester's work. The pathway was still solid, which means Caleb knew how to mix a lasting pour. But my steps slowed when I reached one of the older walkways. He'd poured the cement here years ago, winding it neatly around a mourning seat next to a yew tree hedgerow. The bench itself predates Caleb by decades. Its design more Victorian, but the cement work around it was his. What caught my eye wasn't the curve of the path or the smooth finish. It was the subtle scuff just beneath the bench, almost hidden, tucked low where the shadows fall longest. I lean in, and there it is. 2 letters, etched by hand into the setting cement. C.R. Caleb Rowe. He left his mark, not just on city contracts or questionable pools, but here, in the quiet heart of Garden of Memories, a signature left behind for someone to find, and maybe for someone to remember. Welcome back to Gravely Curious, where small-town secrets are never truly 6 feet under, no matter how much concrete you pour over them. I'm your host, Jane Ladling, cemetery caretaker, amateur sleuth, and probably one of the few women in Cerulean Hills who thinks wearing a vintage hat and visiting the public archive is better than a spa day, but maybe not as delightful as a smoke show special agent showing up at your doorstep with flowers. For 6 weeks, I've been delving into the death of Chester Lloyd after discovering a single typewritten note in an abandoned desk in the old business office of the cemetery that I've inherited. It read, "Start with Chester Lloyd. Check the bake sale. You'll see I was right. Chester Lloyd, former town treasurer of my hometown and dead since 1987. The coroner wrote heart attack on his death certificate, but I suspect death by poisoning. Last time we uncovered some spicy festival drama involving Chester Lloyd and Caleb Rowe, Cerulean Hills' most popular city contractor, who bought himself a nice big pool and a fleet of trucks without leaving any official financial records. Spoiler alert, it wasn't just the baked goods that were cooked. Since then, I went full Agatha Christie on Caleb Rowe, armed with nothing but determination, a notebook named Truth Be Told, and an embarrassing number of overdue library fines. I started with the town archives where, among stacks of water-stained permits, the beginnings of what looked like a wasp nest and the endings of a breakup letter, I found the receipts. Literal receipts. Turns out, Caleb Rowe was charging the city double, sometimes triple, for the cost of materials for those city renovations. Worse, he submitted invoices for custom stonework that, upon closer inspection, turned out to be decorative concrete, off the shelf, mass-produced, and delivered by the truckload. Not exactly artisan craftsmanship. And it doesn't stop there. After sweet-talking, or mildly bribing my way into a historical society meeting, shout out to Miss Pine for trading town gossip for a plastic cake holder full of lemon bars, I learned several of Caleb's construction workers got hefty bonuses during the project. Which brings me back to Chester Lloyd. One of Caleb's employees is living in Arulian Hills and still alive. An unnamed former handyman who, for the record, still lives 2 blocks from the cemetery. I got out 3 sentences before a door slammed in my face. 1. Don't use my name on your weird podcast. Side note, he didn't say anything about giving other clues to his identity. 2. Quote unquote off the books. And 3. Cash in an envelope. Oh wait, I've got one more. Things were going great until Chester stuck his nose in what was none of his business. Here's a tidbit my BFF Fiona remembered. She was Grandma Lily's dearest friend, and after my grandma passed, Fiona became my best friend. Rumor was Chester was suspicious about something he refused to name outside of the next city council meeting on October 5th. That's 2 days after the fall festival. The same fall festival where he died after eating a slice of cherry pie he never should have trusted. A coincidence? Please. Even my cat Rolex would side-eye that one. Oh, who am I kidding? Rolex would side-eye everything. Alright, let's connect the dots. 1. Caleb Rowe was massively overcharging the city. 2. Caleb's workers were getting quiet cash bonuses. 3. Chester knew and was preparing to take it public. 4. Chester had a public argument with Caleb hours before his death. If I had a neon sign blinking motive, it would be flashing over Caleb's fancy new backyard pool right now. But, and you knew a but was coming. There's one piece that doesn't fit neatly into this freshly poured scandal pie. Caleb's bookkeeper. Remember how Chester was gathering proof? Well, around the same time Chester died, Caleb's assistant, Mary Ann Gates, suddenly resigned and left town. No potluck send-off, no farewell card sent around the office to sign, no we'll miss you sheet cake from the grocery store. She packed up her stuff and disappeared faster than a squirrel spotting Rolex. She may have even left a plant, but I haven't confirmed. Anyway, her rapid exit wasn't a coincidence, which is why, dear listeners, I've got a new suspect. That's right, Mary Ann Gates. Because sometimes it's not the guy swinging the hammer who knows the most, it's the person writing the checks.
3 failed engagements? Haley Sutherland calls that experience. And now, as the new co-owner of her family's B&B, she's channeling that experience into unforgettable bachelorette parties, complete with the fate delivery cards. Draw a card, do what it says, and hope for the best. When Haley pulls her next dare, kiss a stranger. Enter Nate Peterson, Navy SEAL instructor, king of discipline, and absolutely not prepared for the kiss that changes everything. Haley thinks their chemistry is just a fluke. Nate, he's ready to play for keeps. He's picked up a fate card of his own, and this mission ends with Haley by his side. Sworn Duty by Jill Monroe. When fate deals the cards, love follows. Available now in print and wherever your favorite ebooks are sold.
Welcome, welcome.
Marianne Gates lives in a little house with white shutters and a garden that smells like lavender. These days, she arranges flowers at the church and reads mystery novels, of which I have a few suggestions. She's quiet, deliberate. She's offered me tea in a real china cup, and sugar is the cube kind that you use tongs, not spoons. For someone who once worked alongside Caleb Rowe, she's not at all what I expected. Thank you for seeing me, Marianne. I know this isn't exactly a fun walk down memory lane.
Fun or not, we might as well talk about them while I still remember the details.
I was hoping you'd say that. You were Caleb Rowe's bookkeeper in 1987, yes?
That's right. First full-time job out of school. I liked numbers. I liked order. And Caleb, well, he was charming when he needed to be.
What changed?
The charm, for one. As soon as the contracts started rolling in, that charm went out the window.
Tell me more.
He was less about helping people build something special and more about sell, sell, sell. I completely understand needing to pay the bills, but he got smarmy. Then, he asked me to file expenses that didn't feel right, double charges. When I saw a project marked as completed but never started, I knew something was up. At first, I thought I'd made a mistake, but I hadn't. He was cooking the books, but having me do the dirty work.
Did Chester Lloyd know?
Chester started asking questions. He'd stop by with budget reports I'd never seen before, certain lines highlighted and notes in the margins. He was polite, but persistent. When someone who understands the numbers starts noticing the same cracks you've been quietly patching, well, that's when trouble starts.
Did Caleb say anything?
He said Chester was getting in the way of progress, that he was making things complicated. Then one day, I found a check stub I didn't recognize. $8,400 issued from the city, logged as a community enrichment donation, deposited in the account with the initial CT.
Cindy Townsend?
That was my guess.
Don't worry, my conversation goes on. But seeing as how you're not from Arulian Hills, I wanted to remind you that Miss Cindy was once the head librarian here, and she held that job close to 30 years. The very one I interviewed in the last episode who gave zero indication she knew anything about $8,400. Oh wait, she did say something. Let's replay it.
You ask me? You should be looking at Harold's old city crew. Half those folks were way too cozy with the budget numbers.
Sounds like Cindy was leading me toward Caleb and knew a little more about the budget than I'd originally considered. $8,400 more.
The day after I found that check stub, I realized Caleb had added other entries to the ledger, suspicious ones pointing to me. I was being set up as the fall guy. Gal. Either way, I never went back.
Why not tell anyone then?
Because I was 25 and this was my first job. I was alone, afraid, and honestly, I didn't know who else was involved. It didn't feel like something you could report without disappearing yourself. Sometimes, all it takes is a bake sale.
She looked at me for a long time, as if deciding whether to dish the whole truth or just a little slice. Then she reached into a small drawer and handed me something. Before I could ask another question, or 12, she told me to leave, saying she'd said enough. Enough or too much?
Welcome to the only game show where you choose whether to fix the book boyfriend or nix him. It's time to play Fix Him or Nix Him.
The Sworn Duty Edition flirts by offering survival tips.
Fix him or nix him.
He's emotionally available, as long as it's at 0500 hours.
Fix him or nix him.
Treat your past heartbreaks like a personal enemy to defeat.
Fix him or nix him.
He's not afraid of commitment, he's afraid of your fear of commitment.
Fix him or nix him.
His definition of relaxing is cleaning his gear.
Fix him or nix him.
Doesn't do small talk, but brings in customers to help your failing business, and plots with your sister to plan the perfect date.
Fix him or nix him.
Marianne handed me a faded photo featuring 4 people. Caleb Rowe, Mayor Bryant, Cindy Townsend, and Chester Lloyd, off to the side, not smiling. Behind them, a banner that read City Renovation Committee, 1987. But why was this photo important to Mary Ann? Was it to show me that the others considered Chester Lloyd an outsider to their group? Maybe it was to highlight the two members of the committee who were missing from the picture, Beverly Hunter, owner of Beverly's Bakery, and Dottie Witherspoon, the person I suspect the killer wanted everyone to think killed Chester Lloyd. But did this photo indicate Mary Ann believed they weren't involved? Or that the two missing members were the culprits? Maybe. But even still, I can't discount the money that was logged in with the initials CT. I hated to admit this even to myself, but those initials most likely belong to our beloved Miss Cindy. Next time on Gravely Curious, I'm heading back to the library, but not to pay overdue fines. I want to know what Cindy Townsend was really up to in 1987, and if anyone else was in on it. Because if Caleb was the hammer, Cindy might have been the blueprint. Until then, stay nosy, stay neighborly, and remember, when it comes to old mysteries and overdue justice, it's never too late to go digging for the truth.
Want to let fate decide your destiny like Haley from Sworn Duty? When the cards begin flashing, hit pause when your intuition tells you. The card you land on reveals your fate. What will it be? Sweet, silly, or slightly scandalous?
The Jane Ladling Mystery Series and podcast is 100% not paranormal, but is 100% fictional. All people, places, and cemetery complaints are made up. Any resemblance to reality is just a glitch or caused by a ghost. If there were any ghosts at the Garden of Memory Cemetery, which there aren't. All rights reserved by Author Talk Media, LLC. This series was created by Gena, Showalter, and Jill Monroe. You can find Jane's book adventures in ebook, print, and audio. Patreon members get episodes early and without ads.